Okay, so an NFL exec came out and said that they believe that New England didn't play as well, or no, they didn't put forth an effort that they would have needed to beat Baltimore because apparently they were preparing for the rematch because they believe that at some point in the playoffs they're going to face off against Baltimore. Now I'm gonna say that I believe and I don't believe that. There are aspects of it I believe. There are aspects of it I think are ridiculous. One aspect that I don't believe is I don't believe that New England didn't try to win that game against Baltimore. And I'm also say that I do believe that New England, when a game feels lost, the team goes into what I would call safe mode, where they are doing enough to make it competitive to give themselves a chance, just in case they are able to get back into the game. But the coaches on the sideline are just watching what the other team do, trying to pretty much pencil down a list of things that they like to do, and so New England could figure out a way that they could stop it. I do believe that because if you look at last year, New England played just good enough to where they weren't like a fifth or sixth seed. They played just good enough that they were able to avoid the wild card. But if you ask anybody last year going into the playoffs, I'm pretty sure that if we had to put a percentage on the people that thought that New England was going to make it to the Super Bowl and let alone win the Super Bowl, the number probably would be in single digits. So when New England got to the playoffs, they played miles and miles better than everybody else. Even if the games were close, I just think their ability to play far outweighed the expectations that people had for them. So,
But I will start with Shannon on this one. Do you believe there's any truth to this?
Hell no. And it's coming from an exec that doesn't win much because that's a loser's mentality. That's how fans think. Fans sometimes think, well, they lost the game. Well, they weren't playing hard. They might. So,
and this is what separates players from coaches. Because players see everything as black and white. You either tried or you didn't try. But in their mind, they think when you put on pads and you put on a jersey, you go out there, you are a blunt instrument. Your job is to just go 100%. I mean, I'm going to say this. I'm not saying New England didn't try to win the game against Baltimore. I'm just going to say I believe New England has a habit of somewhat in expectation terms underperforming and then showing up during the playoffs. They have a habit of they did it last year where they finished 11-5. They were somewhat subpar. They lost to Miami in embarrassing fashion. They lost to Tennessee in embarrassing fashion. They lost to Pittsburgh late in the season. They had a couple more losses, but those are the ones that pop off at the top of my head most notably. And going into the playoffs, every single game they played in, they were underdogs. And not only were they underdogs, but I believe a couple of those games, people thought that the teams that were going up against New England would beat them double digits. Like, it wouldn't even be close. But New England did what New England does, and they found a way to win. Now, Shannon Sharp is one of these guys, along with other people, who believe that New England is done for. Their time in the sun is over. And there's nothing that New England can do about it because they're so bad. And he needs this, what he believes and what he's saying, he needs it to be true. Because of two different things that I'm thinking off the top of my head. One is he has a player's mentality where you are a warrior and your mentality is go 100%, do your best to get the kill. That's one aspect. And another aspect is he has a certain animosity towards New England where it's not really anger or it's not really hate or anything like that. He has a certain animosity towards them. And to think that New England took their foot off the gas pedal in any aspect of at any level to prepare for a possible rematch, possibly in the playoffs, or no, in the playoffs, is ridiculous. Because that completely shuts down any argument that he's made against New England over the past few months. Which his arguments have been, New England isn't good. They're not playing well. The only thing on that team that actually is doing their job is the defense. It pretty much challenges any of these sentiments that he put across. So I don't know. We're going to see where he's going with this.
Were they not playing hard against the Texans? What about Kansas City? You mean to tell me I put this work in and Coach Belichick is not going to give me his best effort forward? The coaches always demand their players give them their best effort in the meeting room, on the practice field, and come game time. And now a coach is going to hold back?
Wow. So you're saying no coach in the history, no great coach in the history of the NFL has ever put on a face for players, but in the back of their mind, they are of different intent. You mean to tell me that has never happened before?
Disrespectful. And this is, I guarantee you, this exec is on a losing team and has not won much, because that's a loser's mentality. Because here's the skill. I've always felt that if I play a team twice, if I lost, I have an advantage, because I can have the guys' undivided attention because we lost, and I can show them exactly why we lost. First Super Bowl run.
That only works if your team is as talented or more talented than the team you lost to. But in the case of New England, where every team that they play against, if we're looking at the talent on paper, they seem to be outmatched by damn near half the league. They don't have the luxury of believing that, all right, all we're going to do is just going to come back and we're going to just play better. We're just going to do better. We're going to be in a better position to win. They have to almost rely on their game planning. They have to rely on the game planning.
We beat Pittsburgh, we lost the first time to them. We beat Kansas City, we lost the first time to them. Because Mike can go back and point to everything that we did wrong and why we lost the game. So, of course, if they play again, they could possibly lose. The Patriots are well coached. They don't make a whole lot of mistakes. And you have to meet that fire with fire by not making mistakes and playing well. But to suggest that the reason why the Patriots lost is because they gave less than their best effort.
No, I think that's bullshit. They lost because Baltimore was just better than them on that day. But I will say that it's not far-fetched to believe that after the game was essentially over, when Baltimore was just having their way with New England, that the New England coaches didn't say, you know what, we're just going to jot down a lot of things that they're doing, a lot of sets that they're running, a lot of the formations that they're coming out in, and we're going to try our best to make sure that if, in case we see them again, we have a better chance to beat them. It's not far-fetched to believe that.
It's foolish. That's crazy. That's asinine. And I can't even believe that an NFL exec would even let that come out of it.
Because it's not far-fetched. It's not hard to believe. It's hard for him to believe. It's not hard for a person thinking logically about this to believe that a coach as brilliant as Bill Belichick, to know that, all right, my offense is struggling, my defense is doing the best they can, but they won't be able to maintain this level of play all year long without stopping. So there may be a chance that we might lose this game. So I'm going to make sure that in case we see this team again, we are better prepared. We know what's happening.
Mouth skill.
In other words, Bill Belichick is a forward thinker. So, you know.
You know how much time guys put in. You know the effort. James, you know the effort that coaches and players put in a week. And they said, okay, we good. No. We played the Dolphins, Skip, and that we gave it everything we could. They just beat the hell.
Shannon Sharp is having a hard time understanding that this is a different time, different era. There are a lot more talented teams in the league than it probably was 30 years ago or 20, 25 years ago. Like during the late 90s, early 2000s, there were maybe a handful of teams that were considered, I'm talking in both conferences, that was considered championship caliber teams. Where nowadays, a team that gets in on the sixth seed in any conference could possibly get caught on a hot streak and make it to the Super Bowl and win the damn Super Bowl. When, if you look back 20, 30 years ago, it was probably harder to believe, a lot harder to believe, that a 6 seed can win a Super Bowl.
All of us and Mike had us out the game midway through the third quarter. That wasn't like we didn't give our best effort because we wanted to win. We played them again. We blitzed them, but that didn't have anything to do with it. And so I take offense to this, that he said this.
Because he's a player, and his mentality is destroy, kill. That's the player's mentality. You are a warrior. Your job is to destroy the other person, the other team. So for a player to sit there and try to think about a coach not being of the kill mentality, it's hard for them to grasp that concept. And this is why they're players.
A team gave anything less than their best effort when the games are so valuable. Skip, it's not like basketball where you can load manage, or baseball when you got 162 games. It's 16. Seeding and even making the playoffs are of the utmost, and every game is magnified.
Yeah, I agree with Shannon. It's no way they came out there and gave their less than their best.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. I don't think they went out there and said, we are not going to try. I'm saying once the game got to about, the third period? The third quarter? I'm thinking about hockey. The third quarter, maybe. Once the game started to get a little out of hand, the offense wasn't playing as well. They were struggling. I'm pretty sure that New England, they kind of took their foot off the gas pedal. They kind of said, you know what, we're going to lose this game anyway, so let's just prepare for the next time we see them. I don't think that's hard to believe at all.
Less than his, like he kept some things back.
No, it's no way. He's not keeping anything back. You want that number one seed. Even though they were undefeated at that time, you still want to hold that number one seed. Everybody wants to play at home. It's no way he comes in there with less than his best game plan. I think this so-called NFL exec may have a little bit of inside information that now they believe they have a plan that could be way more effective against him after playing against him and having that happen, the way it did. Now, I think that may be a case, but no one goes into a game plan saying, you know what, I think I may have to see them again, so I'm going to give less than my best. I don't want to give them everything. I don't want to put all the game plan out there so they know, what's going to come next time and they'll be prepared for it. There's no way you're doing that.
So, remember, we're talking about the evil genius of the evil empire here. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. I already know where this is going, and I can tell you now, I'm agreeing with Skip.
So is he capable of saying, okay, this time I think I can beat him just playing man-to-man. Next time I'm going to play some zone so Lamar can't run wild on me. Like you could switch, flip the script on him, right?
I wanted to do a video about Baltimore, giving some of my thoughts on the way they play and the importance of the things that they do as far as their success goes. I think one of the things that makes the Baltimore Ravens so successful offensively, that makes them hard to defend, is not the fact that Lamar Jackson can run. I don't think that that's it. When you watch them play, or when you watch, even not just the highlights, it doesn't matter. When you watch them, you'll see Lamar Jackson move around a little bit, get the defense focused on him, making sure that he doesn't leave the pocket, and either he'll fake the run to the outside, or he'll just, make a little move to make people think he's going to run, and then he shoots a laser to the tight ends. I think that's these tight ends, man. Mark Andrews, what's the other guy's name? I forgot the other tight ends. I believe he's the rookie. He was just drafted this year. They have so many tight ends. And the tight ends, I believe, is what is making Lamar Jackson so successful. Because if they had to just depend on Lamar Jackson's legs, I don't think this team would be as good as they are. It's because the tight ends, the receivers, they're getting open, they're getting their hands on the ball, and they're actually catching the ball. Mark Ingram is making Lamar Jackson's life a lot easier. Those pieces that Lamar Jackson has is what's driving their success. And I think if I had to pick an MVP for this season, I'm not picking Lamar Jackson. I'm not picking him anyway, but I'm not picking Lamar Jackson if I had to pick somebody from Baltimore. John Harbaugh is the MVP of that team. Because going into the draft, I heard somebody say, well once Baltimore drafted Marquise Brown, I believe, in the first round, and, this was after free agency where they were picking up certain players and stuff, and one of the commentators on TV said, John Harbaugh is going to build this offense to better suit Lamar Jackson's abilities. And that made me keep my eyes open to Baltimore. And I believe Baltimore was going to win this division before the season even started. I mean, most people were giving it to Pittsburgh, or there were people that was giving it to Pittsburgh or Cleveland, but I was like, Baltimore is the reigning champion of this division. There's no way you could just count them out like that. And they won the division. They may win the AFC. Who knows? But I think John Harbaugh is the MVP of this season.
Well, yeah.
Okay. So I think there might
And that's most valuable person, not most valuable player.
be a little truth to this, but it is counterintuitive that you're playing a team that you don't want to have to play in their place again.
Thank you.
Right? Like in the end, you don't want to have to go back to Baltimore.
Right.
Of all the teams in the AFC, I would give the Patriots the best chance to win at Baltimore just because of Belichick.
You don't want to play Baltimore in Baltimore. You don't want to play anybody anywhere. You want to play in your home, in your environment, where you're comfortable with your fans. You don't want to go there. But to be a forward thinker, you have to be prepared for everything. You have to be prepared to go to Buffalo in the playoffs. You have to be prepared. There is no way you're sitting back believing that you're just going to be the number one seed and believing that you're not going to have to see these guys in their stadium. You have to be prepared. You have to be prepared to do it. Now, look last year when New England got to the playoffs and they played Kansas City in Kansas City. From what I understand, they created an entire defense to use against Patrick Mahomes. And now you see everybody using this defense now, where there are no safeties, the linebackers are up at the line, and the cornerbacks are pressed up against the wide receivers, and you are sending an all-out blitz while running man-to-man defense. And now you see everybody doing it now.
Jack and Brady in their capability of figuring it out. I think nobody can figure it out better than those two if you give them some time to let it sink in. And now they'll have like a month and a half to
Skip, even with them going in there, and like you said, they did man-to-man, and we'll try zone next time. He thought that was his best plan right then. He's not coming in there saying, my better plan would be zone, but I'm going to play man-to-man.
I assume so. But will you give Belichick this? He could be seeing way down the road thinking,
And there's also a chance that Bill Belichick went into the Baltimore game, just like you go into any game against a contender, and your mindset is, I want to see what works. I want to see what works. I want to try some different things. I want to see what I can fool them with. I can see what I can make them bite on. I want to see what I can succeed against them with. Experimenting is important for a coach to do. Experimenting is important for a coach to do. It is very important for a coach to try different things.
I don't know if we could win this game tonight, but if we have to come back here, we'll beat them a second time.
But what happens, Skip?
Possible.
What happens if you got to face Kansas City before you get to Baltimore? Or you got to face the Houston Texans?
Yeah. Okay, well, it's probable that would be at Foxborough. So, again, we've seen them lose at Foxborough.
Right.
So, right now, they can't score, so they're going to have a hard time. But they're going to have to figure it out on the fly. So, if we look...
But if I'm Bill Belichick, the team that I'm most concerned with is the Baltimore Ravens. And that's only because we lost to them by a lot. Like, it was not... Forgetting the scoreboard, that game was not close. Baltimore did whatever they wanted to do against that defense. The offense couldn't really do much against that defense. The offense of New England couldn't do much against Baltimore's defense. And if we're looking at the most talented teams in the NFL, I would say Baltimore is, if they're not at the top, they are a top 3 team in the NFL right now. Will we throw Kansas City in there? Will we throw Houston in there? Will we throw Buffalo in there? In the top 3? I don't think so. To be honest, I don't think Kansas City was as good as everybody kept saying last year, because that defense was just suspect at best. So, I don't know, man.
Back at this game, what really happened? It wasn't quite as bad as the 37-20 seems, because remember, it was 17-13 at halftime,
Right.
Not terrible, and 24-20 after 3 quarters. Then Lamar and company outscored them 13-0 in the 4th quarter, and 37-20 seems pretty bad, right?
Oh, yeah.
The worst stat of this game was Baltimore controlled the ball 37 minutes to Brady's 23 minutes.
Right.
Can't do it.
Right.
You're not going to
Right.
beat them. If you let them literally run over you.
They tired that defense out. They forced New England's offense to stay cold. And I can tell you now, a cold offense versus a cold defense, who do you think is going to win?
Right.
That's what'll happen. And it wasn't Lamar who did the most damage. It was actually Mark Ingram, because he went 15 times for 100.
And that's because of just what I said. Baltimore's whole system is important. It's important that the role players be as effective as they possibly can be, man. You can't just go out there and rely on Lamar Jackson to win you these games. Now, Lamar Jackson is playing great, don't get me wrong, but he is not the most important aspect of his offense. He's not the most important aspect of his team. But I'm going to end it here. I may do the rest of the video later.